Alright boys, and welcome back to another vanilla base design. This base is aimed at around about 4-man, and we use pixel gaps to bump up the offline protection, and the easy mobility, shooting floor and peek downs also makes this base really good for an online. Coming inside the base, you guys can see that it's a super simple airlock that eventually leads through to our shell. Inside the shell there's room for anything you want really. I've just placed in some furnaces and boxes. Our entrance to the core is guarded by 2 garage doors and a stability bunker. This bunker can actually be self-sided by jackhammers, so it's okay if you guys want to swap it out with a door. Inside the core we have room for our tier 3, some bags, lots of boxes and our TC. The inner core is honeycombed from the above, which defends in a top-down raid, and it also leaves room for our pixel gap boxes. Outside the stability bunker there's a ladder hatch to head up to the second floor, where you can see there's some more boxes, our tier 2 and a couple of lockers. The second floor also gives access to the pixel gap boxes that are inside the floor. These boxes are locked and they're only accessible by the people who locked them, and they're going to cost a total of 8 rockets to get to. In total there are 6 pixel gap boxes that you guys can hide loot inside. There's also space for a computer station where you boys can check out today's sponsor. Raid Shadow Legends is a multi-platform free game that you boys should definitely check out. You've destroyed Bradley hundreds of times, but what about the Demon Lord and the Ice Golem? If that doesn't sound good, there's also millions of players to go against in PvP arena matches. With all the champions and artifacts in game, there's a never-ending supply of combinations and tactics that you can use to dominate. I love for this game is constantly getting updates that add new and exciting features. Use my links down below to get Raid Shadow Legends on your phone or on your PC. It's hard to choose between all of the champions, but I'm not gonna lie, this Roxon boy looks like a bit of a beast, and he's got some pretty tidy stats. Raid always has a lot of things going on, and this month's no different. Brand new champions are releasing along with a new rotation of the Doom Tower to complete before the month ends. Make your way through the Doom Tower to unlock as many new champions as possible. If you want to get a huge head start in Raid, all you have to do is hit the link in the description, or you can scan my QR code and you'll get yourself an epic hero. Shaunaru is the free hero and she's absolutely perfect for the Doom Tower, plus you'll get yourselves 200k silver, 1 XP boost, and 1 energy refill, plus 1 ancient shard so you can summon an awesome champion as soon as you get in game. Keep in mind that these rewards are only valid for the next 30 days, and they're only available to newer players. Click the link in the description and I'll see you boys in game. Not gonna lie, I still think it's pretty mad that Raid decided to sponsor this one, but we're gonna continue with the build tour anyway. The third floor is all about the bedrooms and our access to peek downs. In total on this floor we have 4 beds, a couple of lockers and some boxes. The peek downs are stable and they're efficient, however there wasn't enough room to do my usual madness with them. The shooting floor is great because it's filled with respawn points. It also has a mix of different peaks and angles that have outer stability. It's also sectioned off, which makes it extremely hard to take over. There's plenty of room on the 4th floor for some electricity rooms and a couple of overflow boxes. You can also see the external bedrooms that go around the shooting floor. And these ramp peaks are perfect because your gun will not drop through if you die while you're trying to roof camp. There are 2 different jump ups to get you up to the top of the base, and on the roof there are 2 turrets that cover each side, plus a minicopter hangar in the middle, and 2 dedicated spots for windmills. That concludes the base tour. Now we're going to go ahead and break down all of the costs. If you boys are trying to build this base, you're going to need to know the total build cost. Here it is on screen now, and this includes every single deployable that you saw inside the tour. Finally, just to make the build cost seem a little bit easier, we've got everything in box amounts. And last but not least, we've got the upkeep. This is how much mats you'll need to spread between your 3 TCs to keep the base alive per 24 hours. Very quickly lads, here's the footprint. That's where the TCs go, and those are the gatehouses. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you need it, and let's get on with the build. For starters, we need to pixel gap our footprint. Place down a square, 5 triangles, then fill in this gap with a square, making sure you clip it towards your feet. Then you can break your triangles and carry the pixel gap squares down the footprint, making sure you clip each square towards your feet. Once you've gotten to this stage, you can upgrade your squares and break all the triangles surrounding. And if you've done those first steps correctly, you should have a gap all the way through the middle of your 2x3. Once you're ready to continue building, you can place a triangle in the middle, and then you need to decide if you want a stability bunker or if you just want a door. Keep in mind that the bunker can be soft-sided, so it's not that effective. However, if they don't want a jackhammer, then they will spend boom. Once you've made your decision, you can line the rest of the base with walls, and then you can add a ceiling on top. Wall in the middle square for your TC, and then you can place shelves on the left and right. And then you can use one of them to place a TC shelf. Add door frames around the middle square. Design the core however you want, or you can copy what I did, just make sure you lock the main TC. Eventually the core 2x3 needs to be upgraded like this. All the floors and all the walls need to be HQM, however the foundations can be metal, except for the foundation that the TC sits on. In order to expand the base, we're going to place in 2 raised triangles. From there you can place a frame on each end, 2 walls in the middle, and a half wall on the back. We're going to rotate this wall so it's hard side facing us, and then we're going to add a ceiling. Make sure this triangle above stays wooden because we're going to soft set it out later. Then you can place in all your doors. On this side we're going to honeycomb the TC, so we're going to place a low triangle, then a raised triangle, and we're going to place a half height triangle inside this one first. Then you can break the half wall and place another raised triangle. For just now that completes the front and the back of the base. Next we're going to move on to the 2 sides. Keep in mind that these 2 sides are going to be multi-TC in order to lower the upkeep. Start by placing 2 triangles off the side, and then from the middle triangle we're going to place 7 squares. On the end of the 7th square we're going to place in a triangle, and then we can delete everything apart from this triangle. Then from here we're going to build back with triangle half moons, and for the final triangle we're going to raise it. We can upgrade this triangle to metal, and break everything else. Now we need to close the gaps in our shell. Place a triangle in 2 squares, and then on each side we're going to place 2 triangles in a square. You can upgrade your triangles to metal, and we're going to break all of the other twig. Then in the middle we're going to place in 2 squares, and you can upgrade these to stone. Currently this part of the shell is going to be decaying, so we need to connect it to an external TC. I'm going to recommend you guys use Mini Satori's external TC, and I'm going to have it linked in the description down below. You guys can build any external TC design you like, however this is what it would look like if you use Mini Satori's. This TC is cheap to build, it's 8 rockets to raid, and it's disconnectable. A link will be in the description if you guys want to use this one. Once you've built an external TC of your choice, you're going to replicate all those steps onto the opposite side of the base. Now we're going to build our main entrance so we can raise up the shell. Come to the opposite side of your core and we're going to place in 2 squares. You can add a single door on the top left, and a double door on the bottom right. One more door frame in the middle, and windows all the way around. Place a wall in between, and a ceiling on top. Then you can place in all of your doors and windows. Now we can begin to raise up our shell. The entire shell is made out of metal, so just raise it up with metal walls. For just now I'm going to go up by 3 walls, but you can do this at your own pace. Now that we're a little bit hidden, we can start building our pixel gaps. Start by surrounding the whole 2x3 in half walls. This is the area where we're going to keep our secret boxes. You can also place 2 divider walls down the middle. Next you're going to need to grab 6 large boxes and 6 code locks. It's important for this step that you don't use any skins that will glow in the dark because it will give away your boxes. Place 2 boxes into each section with the code locks facing in. Make sure your teammates grab the codes before you seal them off. The box placement for this isn't too hard, just make sure some of the boxes over the middle line. And once your teammates have gotten all the codes on the boxes, you can seal them over. Place in your squares and make sure you pull them back towards your feet. Unfortunately, the pixel gap is not obvious in Twig, so we do need to upgrade it to make sure we got it right. If you can access your boxes through the gap, then you've done it correctly. If not, make sure you demolish the floors and try it again. Then from there, you can clip your squares towards your feet again. Upgrade and double check that you can access your boxes. If you've gotten all the squares to place correctly and you have a gap all the way down the middle, you can upgrade everything to metal. Next we're going to start working on the 2nd floor of the base. Before we continue, we need to honeycomb the TC. Then you're going to need to soft side out your wooden triangle that's above your airlock. And then once you've done that, you can enclose the triangle, add a half shelf, a ceiling, and a frame. Do the same thing on this triangle. These are going to be our jump ups to the next floors. In this slot down here we're going to place a triangle ladder hatch, and if you've placed any garage doors, make sure you have the bumper facing in the way. Then you can place in your ladder hatch. The rest of the 2nd floor can get surrounded in walls. From your ladder hatch you can place in a wall on the right, and a wall diagonally opposite. Then the rest of this floor can get filled with door frames. Then you can place in a couple of shelves. And you can also add a ceiling on top of this floor. Design this floor however you want to, just make sure you leave the gaps open. You could even place bags over the middle section to hide your boxes when you log off. Once you're ready to continue, you can add walls on top of your jump up. Again, a half height shelf. a frame, and a roof. At the opposite end, you can add in a single door and 2 double doors. Add a ladder hatch on top of this, and then the rest of the core is actually going to get lined with half walls and low walls. We do this because the foundations don't match the ceilings, so we can't actually do full walls here. Beside our single door, we can do 2 walls. And then we can add frames all the way around this square. And I like to put a low wall in here to section off the beds. And once you've placed in all of that, you can add a roof on top. Start with 2 squares in the middle. Then do your 3 triangles at each side. Then from there we're going to place 3 triangles off the core. Then we're going to place stone frames off the left and right. These frames aren't for ladder hatches, we're going to use them to cover up the gaps inside the multi-TC roof. Then you can place in your triangles on the roof, make sure you pull them back towards this wall. And then you can add in your metal floors on top of your frames. And then you can fill in the final squares. Design this floor however you'd like, but I suggest you use it for bedrooms. Next we're going to start building the peak downs. Start by placing a half height triangle on each side. You can upgrade that triangle to metal. And you can demolish the half wall. Then you can place in a metal triangle on this corner and this corner. From here you should be able to place in your window frame and upgrade to metal. Do that on this side as well. Around the opposite side of the peaks we're going to place in a frame, a half height triangle, and then a window. Same thing on this end, we're going to place in a frame, a half height triangle, and a window frame. If you guys are having trouble moving through the shell due to the high foundations, just place down some deployables to help you move around. In the middle, we're going to place a twig square for just now, 2 metal triangles again, and same again on this side. Then you can break your twig squares. In order to build our final peak down, we need to place in a full wall, a half wall, and a square. Do the same thing on this side as well. Then using that twig build up outside, we should be able to place in a square halfway down. You can upgrade this square to metal, and then you can do the same thing on this side. Then we're going to place a ramp on top of this square and upgrade it to metal. Same thing on this side. If your ramp won't place, just pick up some boxes inside the core and then try again. After that, your twig scaffolding can be broken outside. Finally, inside the peaks we have some gaps inside the walls. You can either cover these up with a rotated metal frame, or you can leave out the frame and have a nice peak to shoot out of. Next I'm going to show you boys how to build the compound. Keep in mind that you can do this at any stage in the base design. We're going to start by placing 2 raised squares at the opposite side of your airlock, and then you can place in a wall in the middle. Then you can place in 2 low squares and 2 triangles. Then you can add frames on this last triangle and break this one. Then add frames leading back to the base, and you can break your foundations. From your triangle, we're going to build a gatehouse. You guys can build any style of gatehouse you want, but I think this one will work just fine. To finish it off, add shot fronts in your floating frames. Then you can replicate that on the opposite side. Next, make your way over to the opposite side of the base and we're going to place in a shot front. On top of there, you can place in 2 frames, and then 3 frames on this side. These frames will be used for the shooting floor later on. Next, we can start building our compound. Place in a couple of high walls next to your shot front, making sure they're in line. Then you can place a wall halfway inside the window of the gatehouse. Then place a wall slightly going out the way, and then finish it off. And then this corner can be used for a large furnace. Once you finish your compound, we need to place in a couple of barricades so that grubs can't get inside. You'll need 1 barricade on top of your gatehouse, and you should be able to fit a barricade on top of here as well. Add in a couple of components on top of your frame to stop grubs from using it to get inside your compound. You can do the same thing on your gatehouses. To finish off the compound, we're going to build a couple of external loot rooms and respawn points. For starters, wall in this square, and then you can place in some shelves and boxes. I recommend you use this square to store ores and wood for the furnaces. The two squares on the opposite side of your front door can be used as external respawn points. Keep some spare sets inside here to defend your base. Now we're ready to start building the shooting floor. Start by placing stability frames up from the gatehouse and on the opposite side of your gatehouse. Then on top of those frames you just placed, we're going to add in ladder hatch frames. Then you can add triangle roofs on top of those, and then add stone roofs on the left and right. Then we can add walls on the sides of this section, and then you can add door frames around the middle triangle. To create the peak down, we're going to add in half walls, low walls, and then replace the half wall with a low wall. Then you can add a ceiling on top. Place in a couple of large boxes to finish your peak down. These boxes are not for storing items in, they're just for standing on. You can use this section to watch the furnaces, the gatehouses, or you can shoot at heli. Replicate those steps on this side as well. Next, face your external TC and place in two squares. You can upgrade the second square to metal, and then add stone walls all the way around. Add a stone roof on top, and a metal low ramp on the inside. Give it a door frame, and upgrade to stone. Then from underneath we're going to place a full wall, a half wall, and a half floor. Then you can delete the rest of the twig. Before we place in a ramp, we're going to use a frame, and then you can place in a ramp. Once both ramps are placed, you can break the wood underneath, and then you can replicate those steps on the opposite side. Design this section however you want, or you can copy what I did. Next we're going to build some loot rooms on the top floor. The square on the right is going to be used for a battery. This room can be used for batteries and electrical components, but don't add a ceiling just yet. The room on the left is going to be an extra loot room. Once you've placed in your boxes, you can add a window in front. Then we can add a door frame in the middle, making sure that you clip your door frame onto the second square. Finally, you can add in a double door. And then you can repeat those steps on this side of the base. Then once again, face your external bed, and we're going to add two triangles on each side. Then two more triangles on each side. Then you can add in windows all the way along. And then place in some single doors. Add in your doors and embrasures, and then repeat all those steps on the opposite side. Finally add in a couple of walls and door frames. In the center of the roof we're going to place two jump ups. And then we can add in a roof on top. Don't forget to place in frames to close up the gaps. And then you can add floors inside. Finally, add floors on top of your shooting floor, and then from here you can finish off your roof exits. The two center squares can be used for a minicopter hangar. And the two outer squares are going to be where we put our windmills. Place in a window frame, two walls, and a half square. Then you can add in a door frame and an embrasure. Then raise this whole square up by two frames, and then add a ceiling on top. Build the same tower on the opposite side, and then you can place in your windmills. You can add in some turrets underneath your windmills, and you can also place a metal ramp in front. Then we're going to finish it off with some roof slants. Start at your windmill and you're going to place two triangle roofs. Then on top of your peak downs we're going to add in two triangle roofs again. And then you can close in the gaps with square roof pieces. Finally add a couple of barricades on top of the gaps just to hide them completely. And once you've done all that, that completes the base design. Thank you very much for watching this one, boys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. I'm a pretty big fan of this base, and I hope to see it out there on some servers. If you guys run into any problems, or if you have some questions, my Discord is linked down below, or you can just ask in the comments. If you guys made it to the end, please feel free to drop a like and a sub for me, that'd be awesome, and I'll see you boys next time.